Now I just go backward when I'm working on this. Now it's asking for the array first. This is the array, comma, row number. Row number is the match function that it returns. Column number 2, close the bracket, and here we have this. Well, I go backward. Now, if I were to start with the index function, there is no harm in it. My way of doing things would be first start with the match function to determine if the position is correct. If not, this is the time I can fix it, and then I can go back to the main function of index. But here, if I make any error, I need to go back to check, was the selection of index function correct, or was the match function that was number 2 that was causing the trouble over here. Okay, it's too much for me to comprehend and fix it at times when I'm working on real lengthy functions. Now let me take this a step ahead. I do not know which row it belongs to. Now I'm looking for grades. Now what if grades, I do not know which column number does grades fall under. It could be column number 1 or column number 2 as well. So then how do we do that? Then for that, I would use another match function. Now this time, I want to look up for grade. Look up array. This is the list, comma. I want an exact match. So there's another match function for the columns. Okay, there is some bracket issue here. I click on yes, and it's done. So we have the index function wherein the first section is about the range, the array. Then the row reference I'm getting through with the help of the match function. Then also the column reference with the help of the match function. And here we have this column D, the grade D. That's it. First, it identified the row number. That's this. Then it identified the column number. That's this match function. So both the match functions gave us these values, and the corresponding cell that's meeting these two criteria is D. That's it. So we can have a good camaraderie between the two functions and just work wonders with that. The beauty of these functions are they are least concerned about where do you want to search these values in. Do they belong in the first column or the first row, or is it on the last column or last row? It does not matter. They are just versatile there. Let me show you another example over here. How does this work? But first, let us fill this. We had used this index match function here. I would want to lock the row reference here as I would be using them down. Copy paste. And that's it. Apply it down. Here we have. Let's do a cross check. Is 68 falling under D grade? Yes. 72.5 is C. And what about 59.5? Is it E? Yes. 82.75 is B. Perfect. What if this was 100? Well, it's an A+. And what if it is a 90 or 93? It's A grade, right? So that's working perfectly fine here. Now let's try a similar thing over here on the right. Now I'll clear this off, or maybe for your reference, I'll just keep it down over here. Now in this case, we'll make use of two dynamic match functions so that we can get corresponding values. Now I would like to know the LED sales for West region. So generally I would like to break up the function into different parts. So let me show you how this works. First, I would like to know where is the position of the West region. So here we have West that we are looking for, and the other criteria is LED. Let me highlight them because these are manually entered values. So I say match, look up for West, and look up array. I select this entire thing over here. I'm also including the heading region, and I want an exact match. Close the bracket. Here we have as the 6th in the list. Okay. Now LED, similarly I'll use a match function. I want to know where LED features in this list here. I put a comma again. I need an exact match here too. Close the bracket, hit enter. So LED falls under the 4th column. Now I need the values of West region LED. That's over here in this selection. That's 6 rows down and 4 columns to the right in this selection. This is where the index function will help me. I say index, select this entire region. I'm okay to select this much. I can also select this much or even more if required. It does not matter. Now, row number, which is I'm looking for something this over here, and row number would be this and column number would be this. Close brackets and you have the answer. So we had one match function which is dynamic. The second match function is also dynamic. Well, in case if you want to test it, let me change this to LED and change this to FL. Well, you see the moment this is LED here, west, it's 235. And that's how it works. I'll undo this. It's 290. Now, since I have split this one large function into multiple cells, okay, this is just for explaining to you how this works. If I were to frame this in one single formula, then isn't it the same as me copying this formula, this function? This is a row reference and replacing the red cell with the formula within this. Enter. And then also copy this formula and apply it over here where the underlying formula that we had copied within the green cell, paste it here. And this is how a full-fledged index and match function will look like, highly dynamic. Hit enter and you have this. Now let us consider one last scenario. Now this time it would be a different angle here. And this is where the beauty of index and match function helps you overcome the limitations of the VLOOKUP as well as the HLOOKUP. Now let's say I want to know which product has neared the total of 1500. So first I would like to know which product has achieved closer to around 1500. So I say index, I select the range, comma, row number. Now I need the product heading over here, which is on first row, right? So I'll just select number 1 and column number. Now in order to determine the column number, I'll select match, look up for 1500 and look up where? In this list. We are talking about the totals, the product which has achieved 1500 or closest to 1500. So we select this range. Is it less than or exact match? I select less than. Close the match function and then close the index function and take a look. You see? LED. What exactly happened here? We first selected the index, the entire function, the entire region. Within that, we selected the number 1. That is the first row. We know that the headings belong to the first row, so we selected number 1. Now, I need to know which column heading meets the criteria. So we need to use the match function to determine that. Now, what if it was not 1500 but 1300? So you see, it's FL which is closer to 1300 but not beyond 1300. Now, in case if I were to think of making this instead of like less than, I want to make it greater than match. So we have CFL over here. Now we had 1325, 1420 and 3940. All three numbers greater than 1300. So we were looking for greater than match, right? So why did it show 1325? It did so because in the list of iteration over here, the first entry that crossed 1300 was 1325, and hence it showed this result. Now what if this total was not 1325 but it was just 1125? And if I change this function to less than match and hit enter, you see it's FL which is closest to the list.